Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I've got another 20 for 20 for you. And that is going to be $20, 20 minutes. This is going to be an amazing deck. Let's jump into it. So the deck today that I am building on the fly for you is built around Satoru Umezawa, a 2/4 human ninja for 3 mana in Dimir. Whenever you activate a ninjutsu ability, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. This ability triggers only once each turn, and each creature card in your hand has ninjutsu for 2 blue-black. So there's a couple of different directions that we can take this commander. We could just go full like, hey, everything ninja. Or we could go like, hey, a bunch of, evasive low-to-the-ground creatures, and then cheat into play some massive creatures, and then wipe out our opponents in that way. That's what we're going to be doing. I mean, obviously, we can utilize a combination of ones that take advantage of ninjutsu as well. But yeah, being able to sneak into play some massive creatures very cheaply, very effectively, is amazing. And of course, while we're doing that, get a little bit of card advantage out of that as well. Top of the library, hey, get one of those cards, get in your hand, set yourself up again. So with all that said, let's jump into what we're going to be doing with this commander, and let's start that 20-minute timer. Okay, here we go. So it's a little bit just nerve-wracking starting that timer off each time. And of course, I'm already wasting time, so let's go. So first up, we're going to be talking about what's called, like flying men. Like one of the original 1/1 flyers for 1. Yeah, that's really good, essentially. And of course, I'm already making mistakes. Let's add a new list to start things off. All we need to do is get through with creatures that are low to the ground and evasive. We don't care if they're dealing damage, as long as they're unblocked. That's all that matters. So Ornithopter is an amazing one. It is literally a free creature that is evasive with flying. Flying is not perfect evasion, obviously, but it is very good evasion. Usually good enough to get us through on at least one opponent, and that is what we are looking for. We'll talk about some more evasive creatures here in a bit, though. Siren Storm Tamer, a great one as well. One that can also double up as a protection spell in a way, by sacrificing it to counter something that targets one of our creatures. Spectral Sailor, an additional card advantage engine for us as well. Not very efficient, at 4 mana to draw a card. That being said, yeah, still amazing. Flash Flying, 1/1. All we care about is, again, low ground evasive creatures. Fairy Seer, this one actually gives us some additional card selection with that Scry 1. Artificer Assistant as well, whenever casting historic spells, which of course includes artifacts, Scry 1 as well. Wingcrafter can double up evasion, essentially. Itself, I guess it doesn't technically have any evasion. Unless it's soul bound to something else, then they both do. They both get flying. Merfolk Windrobber, another great one as well. Silver Raven, another one that does give us some scry as well when it enters the battlefield. Jace's Phantasm, an opponent having 10 more cards in their graveyard, that might happen at some point. We shall see, but it doesn't really matter that much. We've got the Battlefly Swarm. We have a lot of great ones, especially lately. This one getting Death Touch if we need it to, so that's quite nice. Surveil 1 on a flyer as well for 1 mana. Again, there are a ton. You can see already a ton of creatures with evasion at just 1 mana. Enters battlefield, tap target permanent. Why not tap something down as well? Hypnotic Siren, you want to steal a creature? Why not steal a creature as well? Eye Collector, sure, mill players, who cares? So we're starting to get to the point where, again, like at a certain point, you're probably gonna be like, all right, we're gonna make some cuts in this category, and I'm running out of time in this category too. But obviously, there's a lot of great low to the ground ones as well. So let's just keep adding a couple in here. We're just gonna keep going. A couple ones that I think are great. Regenerate this one, sure, why not? And I'm running out of time, so I should probably stop right now. There's so many good ones though. When it dies large, sure, why not? All right, we're gonna stop right there. We're gonna keep going. Just a quick step behind the curtain. I am a bit nervous right now because I don't know how much time to utilize on all these categories still. Let's start a new list. Changeling Outcast, a great one. So we're going to talk about some evasive creatures that are actually potentially more evasive than just our flying men type creatures. These just literally can't be blocked. Like Changeling Outcast cannot be blocked. Slitherlade cannot be blocked. Gingerbrute, we gotta pay for it, but it can't be blocked except for a creature with haste, and it can also attack right away. Yeah, you gotta pay for it. That's okay, though. Most creatures do not have haste. Trencher Stalker, also unblockable. Mistcall Herald, unblockable. Why did they take away unblockable? That is such a fine, keyword, essentially. I'm wasting time on that. Tormented Soul, unblockable as well. The fact that they can't block does not matter. Ingenious Prodigy, Skulk. So Skulk is a bit of a weird one. It can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. It does have 0 power, so it cannot be blocked, essentially. And it does gain some extra power if you actually put extra counters on it. You can remove those counters. it's flexible. Anyway, Skulk, Lifelink, and a 1/1 as well. We've got Island Walk. That's usually good enough to get through on at least one opponent, so we'll conclude those. Again, you can adjust based on your play group. Fear is typically good enough to get through as well. Can't be blocked except by a creature that is either black or artifact creature, I think, especially for Fear, I believe. Intimidate is somewhat similar to that, but based on the creature's color. Island Walk as well right there. Swamp Walk right there too. And can't be blocked by walls. That doesn't really have anything to do with it. Time. Okay, so I made up some time in that last category. So again, we're going with the different kinds of unblockability, essentially, but now at 2 mana. Again, we want to keep our evasive creatures low to the ground. So yeah, 1 or 2 mana typically is what we're going to be shooting for. Satoru Umezawa is amazing because it actually makes all of our creatures that have toughness 1 or less unblockable, which is huge. So there you go. Power or toughness, I should say, which most of our creatures will have that. Ghostly Pilferer. This one, we do have to discard a card to make it unblockable, but again, we have got card draw engine with our commander, which is nice. On top of that, whenever opponents cast spells for free, which there are a lot of ways for them to do it these days, or not for free, sorry, anywhere outside their hand, which, yeah, Impulse Draw, Cascade, a lot of things, Graveyard. We're going to be drawing a lot of cards with this as well. Sunnybrook Banneret. We do have some Merfolk and some Wizards that can reduce the cost of them as well. It has Island Walk. Hero Spelldancer could also double up on a spell, I believe, on that if we do get some oil counters on it. Wharf Infiltrator, another one that does have Skulk and that is low to the ground, also provides some advantages for us too. Golem? Anyways, that one's probably okay, but it's all right. So we are probably wanting to include less in this category because it is at 2 versus at 1. That being said, there's still some great additions. Dothy Horror. Shadow is basically unblockability, also basically can't be blocked. I mean, there's some good ones in here. Skulk and Death Touch. I mean, you probably don't need both really to get through. But can't be blocked, can't be blocked, can't be blocked. Ones that just straight up just cannot be blocked are good. You do want to balance again, like, just mana value 1, mana value 2, and at 2, it's like, okay, they really should be able to either give you an absurd amount of value throughout the game, or they should be able to just be straight up unblockable versus other ones. So keep that in mind. I'm probably missing some really good ones right now because I feel like I'm running out of time and spending too much time on the Flying Men categories, but I mean, they're just so good. They're so good and they're so fun just to kind of look through these like little creatures that don't fit in any other deck, but like fit in this one very, very well. Okay, we're going to stop right there. We're going to keep going on. Let's start with some bigger creatures now. And I'm trying to get in the habit of creating that list before I start the timer, so I give myself some extra time. Regardless, let's talk about some ninjas, okay? So, again, we have, like, the ninjutsu ability that is given from our commander, but also we've got other ninjas that can help us out as well, because, yeah, we already have those evasive creatures that are going to be getting through for that ninjutsu. Deals counter to a player, exile the top card of each player's library until end of turn. We can play those cards. If we cast spells away, we pay life equal to it. So, yeah, you can actually utilize spells essentially for free in a way. Deals combination player. The player exiles top 2 cards of the library. You can play them for free. Absolutely amazing. Whenever a ninja or rogue creatures deal combination to a player, you get a treasure token. That is lovely. This one is huge. Ninjutsu abilities you activate cost 1 less to activate. So instead of it being 4, thanks to our commander, now it's down to just 3 mana in total. Silent Blade Oni, you can save on a ninjutsu because our commander makes it cheaper, essentially. Deals combination to a player. Look at that player's hand. You get to cast a spell for free among them. We can't add another Satoru Umezawa because, you know, this is a singleton format. Outside of that, though, some of these are okay. We don't really want to lean, with this deck tech style, we don't want to lean too heavily onto other kind of ninjas. I'm going to lean more heavily onto some bigger creatures and some really explosive plays. So let's do that. Let's move forward and save myself some time in this category. Okay, moving on, and I probably should mention this. I mentioned this in previous episodes, but I will be cutting down the actual list of cards at the end of the episode to, you know, 100 cards in total. So there you go. So I will actually have the actual list in the description below of the completed deck, and I will put the, you know, scrolling list of cards at the end. Regardless, let's talk about some big creatures that essentially, well, you usually have to pay a lot of mana for, like 7 or more. But with this, again, you can just cheat them into play thanks to your commander and thanks to those evasive creatures. And especially ones that have ETBs and give you value right away, those can be really huge. So let's talk about, well, Meteor Golem. Hey, come into play. I think I just talked about this last one. I did not create another list. Meteor Golem comes into play, destroys something. Lovely. Mirror Battlesphere comes into play, makes 4 1/1s. Again, those could be actually just extra ways to get through or ways to essentially tap and deal extra damage to an opponent when the Mirror Battlesphere attacks. Scourge of Fleets, that one can be very good as well. Basically a one-sided board wipe in a way. Diluted Primordial, potentially cast up to 3 cards for free on ETB. Absolutely lovely. And we do have some ways to talk about maybe later where we're talking about bouncing some creatures. So maybe we have ways to get these ETBs again. Overseer the Damned, ETB, destroy a creature. Lovely. On top of that, whenever opponent's creature dies, we get a 2/2 zombie. So that's just on top of this, effect. Throughout the game, their opponent's creatures are going to die, so we get zombies. Slin Voda, again, ones that actually say like, hey, if it was kicked or if it was cast, probably ignore those because you're not going to take advantage of them. Sandstone Oracle can be an absurd amount of card advantage. Basically, draw up to, someone else's not max hand size, someone else's cards in hand. Born Overlord, I wouldn't really want to worry about sacrificing creatures, I guess. Although you can just have it sacrifice itself. It does make a bunch of evasive creatures. We maybe cut that one. We shall see. Deathbringer Regent includes casting. Lord of Change, that one's budget friendly. Heck yes. Again, I should have said earlier that all these cards are going to be 50 cents or less to try to get underneath that $20 requirement, which I bet we will be able to do. So yeah, draw 3 on ETB, absolutely lovely. Threefold Thunderhawk, kind of like another Mirror Battlesphere in a way. Hulking Metamorph can be basically a clone, so that can be quite good depending on what's in play. Sphinx Thune, again, additional card advantage. And then also, when it comes to like these evasive ones too, this is basically a factor fiction. When it comes to these evasive ones too, like having big evasive creatures can be very, very good for us as well. Shadow Puppeteers can be quite nice too, so that's quite nice. Technomancer enters the battlefield, mill 3, turn in an artifact. We don't have too many artifact creatures in this deck. Myojin again requires a cast. Again, some of these just require cast, which again, I'm not saying is a bad thing, but, I'm not going to leave too heavily on. Scar of the Ages can be a great amount of additional advantage, getting 2 instant sorceries out of our graveyard back into our hand. So, yeah, some additional advantage by recursion. Skull-Lost Robe, cast something for free out of your graveyard. So, either an instant or sorcery or artifact. That's huge. Phyrexian Ingester can be some removal. Basically, exile a creature. Torgar is just funny. Basically, again, we're going to be having some big creatures coming through. You could probably finish someone off pretty surprisingly with this, because on ETB, take one player's life total and put it down to 20, half the starting life total. So again, even if they're at like 2,000 life, it doesn't matter. You're down to 20 now. I'm probably running out of time. Draw some more cards with Inspired Sphinx. There's so many good ones, though. There's so many good ones. Okay, I'm going to call time right now because I'm running out of time. Okay, another big, exciting category for us as well. Again, basically exact same search as last time. And again, a huge thank you to Scryfall for existing. You're an amazing website. It's the exact same search as last time, except I'm taking out Enter, because last time was just about Enter, battlefield effects. This one does not. So, yeah. Anyways, Butcher Malakir. Oh my goodness. Whenever our creatures die, opponents sacrifice creatures, and that is incredibly brutal. It's going to be really hard for them to keep creatures in play, and also keep blockers in play. Artisan of Kozilek, keep in mind you're not going to get that Annihilator 2 trigger that first time, because it comes to play tapped and attacking when you ninjutsu it in. That being said, yeah, the next time you attack with it, yes. And also you're still swinging for 10, which is great. Elder Brain can again be some great additional card advantage for you, and also maybe upset the player that you're attacking with it. Again, you're not going to get that trigger on that first time. Phyrexian Triniform, a 9/9 that turns into 3/3/3s that you can also encore back out to make a lot more of them. Stormtime Leviathan, that one, it can be good. It can be a bit risky. I'm going to throw this in. It can be a bit risky because if you lean a bit heavier into flying creatures and island walk, great. If you're leaning into, again, like those can't be blocked creatures or, shadow creatures, they can't attack then, which is a bit of a bummer. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Bane of Balagad, again, kind of basically Annihilator, but not Annihilator. Desolation Twin has to be a cast trigger. Otherwise, Crusher, again, Annihilator. Depending on how your playgroup feels about Annihilator. I know there's a lot more Annihilator cards coming out right now, but yeah, we shall see. Breaker of Army is a great way to get your army through, which is lovely. Everyone has to block it. It's also pretty big and takes the creatures out. Ancient Stone Idol, this one can actually be cast cheaper too. That can be another kind of avenue for this deck as well, like certain ones that can be cast pretty cheaply without having to be cheated in. That being said, cheat this one in. Also, when it dies, you get a 6/12. Inkwell Leviathan, 7/11. It's just like a big body. That's not too bad at all. Tromocratus, Hex Long Attacker blocking. I think it's pretty fine. An 8/8 coming through. It's not too bad. It's not too great. Tidespout Tyrant is incredible, especially when you have all these low-to-the-ground creatures that you're bouncing back to your hand, replay. Whenever you're casting spells, you can bounce a permanent. So have fun. And keep in mind that does not say non-land. So if you need to bounce lands late in the game, you can. Your opponents might not like that very much, but you can. Sage of the Beyond, probably not. Sword Coaster, probably not. Octavia. Yeah, I mean, again, you are going to have some instant sorceries in this deck when you're casting them. Now your creatures become massive. So again, you're even little, like low to ground base creatures you can make into huge threats. Thieving Amalgam can build you a massive army in absolutely no time. Basically, on each of your opponent's upkeeps, you are going to be having them manifest, or you're going to be manifesting on top of theirs. And when those creatures die, you gain life and they lose life. Winter Sphinx is incredible. Again, if you're going heavier into maybe the Flying Men strategy, whenever creatures with flying attacks, you draw a card. That includes your opponent's creatures as well, so keep that in mind. Oh, a lot of great... Okay, I'm running out of time. A lot of great options, though. Void Beckoner, maybe. 8/8 Death Touch. You can also cycle away if you need to. Archfiend Spite. Nah, yeah, I mean, it's good, but... I mean, there's a lot of great options, I should say. I'm not trying to downplay these at all. A lot of great options. Graz can be an interesting one because you are kind of taking, like, the high end of your creatures and moving them down, but you're taking the low end of your creatures up. I would probably stay away from that one, though. I mean, putting it into a 5/3... Interesting. Yeah, Demon of Loathing, sure. Can be a little bit of removal there. Mindless. Mind Leech Mass is incredible. Deals counter to a player. May look at the player's hand. If you do, cast a spell from on them without paying its mana cost. Absolutely lovely. Pestilence Demon, we probably don't want to remove our own things. I'm running out of time right now. I'm probably going to call it right now. Probably missed a couple good ones, but I think that's good enough for now. Okay, combat benefits is what I'm calling this category. So, yeah, we are going to be getting through in combat quite a bit. Reconnaissance mission. Hey, whenever a creature control deals counter to player, draw a card. That is absolutely incredible. When it comes to other ones, like I want more like broad ones, not like individual ones for the most part if I can. Necropolis Regent, it can be absolutely incredible. You might want to like avoid leaning heavily into Skulk. I mean, it depends. Like, if you have a good amount of these effects, they're like, oh, I pumped the team. Like, whenever a creature control deals counter to a player, you get that many counters on it. You might want to avoid Skulk, but again, like, sometimes you're, like, replacing those in addition to anyways. This can be just incredible, and, like, all your heavy hitters that are getting through doubles up their power and toughness each time, essentially. I mean, it depends on, like, their power toughness, but you know what I mean. Archpriest of Shadows can be a good one. Backup, so again, ETB, give another creature that ability, essentially. Deals counter to a player. Return target creature card from your grave to the battlefield. That can be absolutely huge. A game-changing play. Some of these are more, like, artifact creature specific. We don't really have, like, specifics on artifact creatures for this deck. Yeah, I mean, most of these are more, like, yeah, they're a bit too specific for most of these. I mean, a couple of them are really good, obviously, like we already talked about, but you don't have... No. Okay. I'm probably wasting too much time on this category anyways. We already have other ones that already crossed over, like Demon of Loathing, too, so we're just going to stop right there for this category. Okay, so it's good when we make up some time, though, because we've got 4 minutes and 33 seconds left for a couple more categories. Yeah, we're going to be talking about card advantage. Again, our commander already gives us some card advantage whenever we're ninjutsuing something in. Only once per turn, though. That being said, and we also have some, you know, ETBs that we talked about with card advantage, or, like, little guys getting through with card advantage. Just want to make sure we cover a couple. Reconnaissance submission, too. And then I'll cut at the end to make sure that we actually get down to the amount that I want. Frantic Search can be great. Basically, a free looting effect. Sign in Blood, amazing. Read the Bones, amazing as well. Basically, dig down, lose some life. Who cares? Factor Fiction, yes. Top your library, get some cards in your hand. Recon Mission, already talked about that. If we were a bit more creature-specific, like ninjas, we would do Distant Melody, but we're not too creature-specific with this build. Tezzard's Gambit, that's more for, like, if we have actual counters. If we were to Infect, which you definitely can with this, or +1 counters. More so that way. Again, Thought Respy Network, we don't really care about specific creatures. Painful Truth is more for 3-color or more decks. Pull for Tomorrow is great. Mask of Memory, I don't want to really keep having to, like, re-equip, but, I mean, 1 mana is not that much to have to worry about. I'll put that one in for now, but, like, for the most part, equipment I probably won't be including. Key to the City can be nice because it is, like, a slow looting or a rummaging effect, essentially, but it does give us that ability to get creatures through, again, basically unblockability, which is lovely. Deep Analysis can be great as well. We might end up cutting a couple of these, though, because we already have a good amount of card advantage from some other sources as well. Again, those creatures we're cheating in, our commander, as well as, yeah, some of the creatures that are low to the ground that have that. Sure, I'll throw Behold the Multiverse in as well for the Foretell effect. And we'll probably cut it right there. We'll call it right there. With these episodes, I'm trying to be better about not, like, losing all my time at the end and being like, oh, ramp! Okay, I've got 20 seconds. Okay, so hopefully I get through this one pretty quick. So we're going to talk about removal. Wrath and removal. A lot of great options in these colors. Destroying creatures and enchantments feed the swarm can be quite nice. Aetherize, if someone's swinging at us, their creatures are now gone. Curse the swine, get rid of a lot of creatures, turn them into pigs. So, yeah, why not? Pigs, love pigs. Beautiful Mastery, that's okay. Mystic Confluence, very flexible, and again, counter. I don't lean too heavily in counter spells in my decks. If you do, feel free to add some more in. But yeah, you can definitely lean into counter spells, but Mystic Confluence can be a great flexible one. Nev's Disc, a great way to just get rid of everything, essentially. I mean, slightly slower, but that's nice. Whelming Wave, again, bounce a lot of things. We got a lot of low-to-the-ground creatures. They're easy for us to get it back out there to cheat and to play bigger creatures, so keep that in mind. If you're playing against Sea Serpent Tribal deck, though, or Sea Monster Tribal deck, you might be in trouble. Evacuation, again, instant speed, bounce all the creatures. That's great. Perplexing Test a bit. We're not really like leaning heavily into like creature tokens with this deck, so we probably won't include that one. Let me see. We've got, Aether Gale. There we go. Aether Gale as well can be a great one. Again, we do have some creatures that have ETBs, like we talked about earlier about like removal, so we don't have to lean super hard into removal spells. I mean, we do want a good amount, though. Into the Royal is good and flexible. Again, bouncing your own creature might be a good thing as well. Unsubstantiate can be flexible as well, and bouncing spells too. So I think we might be at a pretty good spot right now. I'm probably missing some really good... Alchemist Retrieval. Absolutely incredible spell. So yeah, either bounce your own thing for cheaper or bounce an opponent's thing for a bit more. And I think we're probably good for right there. We got a good amount of removal, and I got a good enough time for ramp left. Okay, so I think this is the most time I've ever had for ramp at the very end. Arcane Signet's, of course, a great choice. We're looking for, when it comes to ramp, we're looking for low-to-the-ground, efficient, and effective. Again, we have got a lot of low-to-the-ground creatures we can get down early. We got our commander we can get down pretty early as well. We want to keep ninjutsuing as quickly as we can. Mirror Landscape, just a great land to add into nearly any deck out there. Just ramp on a land. Though when it comes to like number of ramp spells in a deck, I don't just like say like, oh, okay, I'm good. I've got that Blighted Woodland in a deck or whatever, and I count those as 2 ramp spells and I do less ramp. No, I still do the same amount of ramp. The lands I don't really count because they're not nearly as efficient. Mind Stone is a great one. Wayfarer's Bauble, of course. Demir Signet, Talisman of Dominance. I'm so glad to see that those got like reprinted, so we finally have those at budget friendly. Everflowing Chalice is a great one as well. Decanter, this one is not as... It is not as efficient, obviously, as like a Thought Vessel. Oh gosh, I'm running out of time. But again, it is budget friendly. At least this version specifically is, and no maximum hand size is quite nice. Charcoal Diamond. When it comes to Mandorks, like Ornithopter of Paradise, I tend to lean outside of Mandorks. Although with this commander deck, I would consider that because it is evasive. So make sure you're keeping that in mind. Warden Power Stone, very efficient, very effective. Midnight Clock can replace our hand. I'm running out of time. Springly Drum because we get creatures in early. Okay, I think I got that last one in just in time. I'm sure I missed some other great cards as well. Again, I think it's a fun challenge. Again, building a deck, essentially. I mean, I do have to cut the cards. You know, I definitely went over 100 cards with this episode and with all these, essentially, which is better than going under, I guess. But I do have to cut down. But I think it's fun to kind of see the thought process of, like, going through and saying, like, okay, how can I efficiently build a deck, even on a very small budget, again, compared to a lot of budgets out there, even compared to a lot of precons out there these days. I mean, like, most precons these days are, what, like $45, plus, like, the Modern Horizons ones are $70, because it's more expensive to print those, right, Wizards? Regardless, I think it's a fun process to see, like, okay, how can you efficiently, effectively build a deck, even on a low budget, a comparatively low budget, I should say. I think it's a lot of fun. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you are interested in this deck, look out the, final deck list in the description below. And also, I will have, like, the finally, cut deck, scrolling here in a little bit. So stay tuned for that. And, of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.